Champ Car fireworks in Canada. We're at the Circuit de Mont Tremblant for the 6th race of the 2007 Champ Car World Series season. Paul Tracy's up and down year has continued today. PT in the morning warm-up went off track, whacked the wall hard. He says it was due to a steering problem.
Changed the steering rack overnight to a different rack and pinion in the car, and I went out for practice this morning, and I have like 20 degrees of play in the steering where the car just doesn't do anything. It's got like 20 degrees of play and slop in the steering wheel, and as soon as I started to go quick, I turned the steering wheel and the car's not turning, it's just going straight. So something happened in the steering rack, I think.
So off of his upset win at Cleveland last week, the driver of the Forsyth Index 3 car will start in a backup machine back in 17th. The pole sitter, quite a surprise, Bill Stevens. The motors have fired on the front straightaway here at the Circuit de Mont Tremblant, getting set for Champ Car Mont Tremblant. And the car of the pole sitter has been pushed off to the side, and that adds a whole new set of drama to this one today. Bill Stevens.
Rick Benjamin does it ever. It has been up and down for rookie Tristan Gomendy. 2 weeks ago, he crashed hard in testing at Elkhart Lake. Last week, crashed himself out of the Grand Prix of Cleveland. Won the pole here this weekend. And now, as we have just seen, it looks like the scales have tipped back the other way. We'll follow up on it. Let's go to Cameron Steele.
Well, they're definitely tipping towards Will Power, who was a little bit worried about going through the chicane in the first lap, which they've decided to do, but he said that's a great place to pass Tristan, but if Tristan can't get his car fired off, it's going to be an even easier day for Will Power, who is a superstitious racer. You know, no growth here. A lot of growth is actually what he's doing. He didn't shave today. He didn't shave before he won in Las Vegas either, so we'll see how it plays out for him. Let's go over to Michelle Beisner.
When you think about the Newman-Haas-Lanigan team and its driver, Sebastian Bourdais, words come to mind like consistency and success. But last week in Cleveland, they posted their second DNF of the season, something very uncharacteristic. When I asked Sebastian how it affected his mental game, he said, "It doesn't. I won't allow it. I have the same frame of mind every time that I get into my race car. Go out, drive hard, and have fun." We'll see how much fun he has today with questionable weather and a third position on the grid. Back over to you guys.
Standing by the front straightaway here at the Circuit Mont Tremblant, a beautiful backdrop for racing. Hello again, everyone. I'm Rick Benjamin. Jan Beekes is alongside. Bourdais still leads the championship fight by a couple of points over Robert Dornbos. Off those 3 wins with the 2 DNFs. Will Power, who won the opener, very much in the title fight. Jan, they haven't been here in almost 40 years. This is a driver's racetrack.
It is a fantastic racetrack. You think about the Champ Car World Series. That's the great thing about it. This is as different as you can get than an airport circuit in Cleveland where we were last week. 162 feet of elevation changes. Every different type of corner you can imagine. It's ultra high speed. Let's quickly get downstairs to Bill Stevens. What's going on with Gomendy?
You know what? They don't even know. Down here in their pit, I just spoke to Kevin Diamond, and he told me that they're still evaluating what's going on. They're waving, they're puzzled, they're not sure exactly what's going on with that automobile.
So Tristan Gomendy with the visor up, your starting lineup top of your screen. Gomendy scored his first Champ Car pole here on Friday, withstood all the assaults and all the changes that came with Saturday's round of qualifying, scheduled to start up front. No fire in the hold in car number 22. All right, let's take a look at our onboard views today. Weather is certainly going to be a factor here.
Well, one driver that's carrying the onboard that's been doing a rain dance is Graham Rahal from the United States. Now, he told me, my car was great and I felt good. We were P3, position 3 when we were running in the wet. He's hoping for some rain today. We'll see if he gets it.
I spoke to Justin Wilson just before the start of the race. They reinstituted the chicane in the race. For a while, it looked as if they were going to have the drivers go straight past it on lap 1. He said, doesn't matter to him. He's ready to go.
Alex Tagliani definitely has some experience coming into this race. As a native here in Montreal and a hometown hero, he won a Formula Ford race here in 1995. And though he started in the middle of the pack today, he thinks the familiarity of the track will help him out. You guys, back to the booth now.
Taking a look at Paul Tracy as he gets in line at the back of the field. Let's show you what will happen here on the starting grid. If Gomendy is not able to go, we'll ride with Graham Rahal, Justin Wilson, and Alex Tagliani looking for a start at Mont Tremblant.
Cars in the box. 15 seconds.
Countdown being given to the drivers, and Jan, they will use the chicane. That's a late change in strategy for these drivers.
They practiced this morning without the chicane. They decided it was a little bit too fast. Wow, Sebastian Bourdais got off early.
Power stalls. Will Power does not get off the line. So far, another car has failed to get off the line. Power third in the championship. Bourdais leads him over the hill through the chicane.
So it turns out the chicane is not the problem. It's the actual standing start itself. It looked like Sebastian Bourdais got away early. Power didn't even get going.
And Jan Halen also stalled on the grid, so 3 cars unable to get going. Looks like the other Team Australia car is involved as well. Simone Pagenaud. They're going to have to tow those cars.
Will Power has had some of the best starts of the year. And wow, what a crushing blow.
So Gomedy never could get fired up. Halen is still stuck, and both of the Aussie Vineyards cars failing to launch.
Certainly looked as though Sebastian Bourdais got away early, but that was so dramatically emphasized because obviously Will Power didn't move at all.
One more look at it here. Looked like Power stalled the car because it was rolling.
Yeah, it's a case where when you dump the clutch, you have choices of your revs that you can use, and in both cases on Team Australia, wow. Graham Rahal did an excellent job, and that's a great representation. You hold the revs to a certain RPM, then dump the clutch. If the revs aren't exactly right, it will stall.
Now this is the 34 car, the Conquest entry for Jan Halen. He also did not fire from back deep in the grid, and the whole Montrose safety team is there to throw him a rope as well. Halen had a good weekend going.
He's had a fantastic weekend going for a guy who started the season late, didn't get an opportunity to test. Boy, those are 3 really top guys that you would think would be at the front, run into trouble right off the start.
So full course caution with the 3 cars failing to start. And then the problem with Tristan Gomedy, who qualified on the pole, but whose 22 car would never fire. He did not come around on the reconnaissance lap either. So we'll see what happens with Power, Gomedy, Halen, and Simone Pagenaud. Sebastian Bourdais is the leader under caution. We'll be back at Mont Tremblant. ESPN's coverage of the Champ Car World Series, Champ Car Mont Tremblant, is brought to you by Mazda, always the soul of a sports car. And by Bridgestone. For drivers who want to get the most out of their cars, it is Bridgestone or nothing. Back live at the Circuit de Mont Tremblant, the pole sitter Tristan Gomedy being strapped into the 22 car, the pay-by-touch PKV entry. Apparently they've discovered what's wrong, and they think they'll be able to get him fired up and out on the racetrack. He's already missed a lap, so his opportunity to win today, for all intents and purposes, not there. Let's show you this racetrack. We said it had been nearly 40 years since Champ Car had come here to the Laurentians.
Obviously, it's in a very scenic setting, but the most unique thing here are elevation changes and corners like you won't see on any other racetrack. Right off the start, the chicane in turn number 2 there where they've used tends to sort of break the rhythm, but here on the backside of the racetrack, turn 7, smoking through there as we get back to green.
Green flag back in the air. Several drivers electing to stop as they came down through because pit road was open. Trying to work fuel strategy early on. We started to mention the weather could be an issue. Catherine Legg, Jan Halen's car's been started. He and Catherine back at the back of the field. If you'd like more on Circuit Mont Tremblant, take a lap on the edge with Alex Tagliani as he roars around the hills here in both wet and dry conditions. It's at the series website, champcar.ws. So Sebastian Bourdais is the race leader. Robert Dornbos hanging right with him there in the Muirman's Ozjet 14 car. Justin Wilson took advantage to come to third. Then it's Neil Johnny and Speedy Dan Clark, your top 5.
You know the saying when they say I'd rather be lucky than good? Sebastian Bourdais has the most tremendous luck. I mean, it's early in the race. Anything could happen. Obviously, he had a DNF or do not finish in Cleveland. That's not the greatest luck. But when things go Sebastian's way, it's almost like the seas part. In this particular case, Will Power didn't even leave the grid. He finds himself with the lead.
All right, Bill Stevens, let's find out more about Gomedy.
Jimmy Vassar is the V in PKV Racing. Jimmy, an update on what happened to Tristan and where he is.
Well, obviously, it didn't start. We had some sort of electronics glitch. They fixed it at the other end of pit lane. Yeah, it's very unfortunate for Tristan, PKV, but it's going to have to soldier on.
Is the problem corrected? I'll try to ask him again. We're wondering if that may rear its ugly head later in the race.
We'll talk about cars that have had electrical questions. This car is one of those, John.
This is on Sebastian Bourdais' machine, the very same engine that he used in Cleveland that let him down. He thought it was a blown engine. It turns out it was an electronic-related problem. They have changed all the electronics, and that engine remains. The team's still a bit nervous about it, however.
On board, Justin Wilson, the CDW9 car from the R Sports team. Great look off the rear wing there. One of the straight stretches here at Circuit de Mont Tremblant. It's about 2.62 miles, 15 turns here. Wilson really cashed in, running third right now, and he's got a good gap over Neil Johnny back there.
Listening to the onboard radio. That was a great shot as you accelerate up to 182 miles an hour down that straight where you go over the hump through the bridge turn here. This is just a racetrack that really gets your attention.
Bourdais working on about a 1-second lead over Robert Dornbos. Last week, if you were with us in Cleveland, Dornbos was second and closing in on Paul Tracy as the laps wound down. PT did go ahead and score his 31st career win. The question we had was, did Dornbos have any Cosworth power to pass left? Our telemetry showed he did. Turned out that he didn't. He was on the button. He used it all up. Got himself to second. He said, I had nothing else for Tracy. Now, PT, meantime, after that wreck, how about this, Jan? Gridded the backup car 17th. He's 11th right now after 4 laps. Michelle.
I'm down here with Neil Mickelwright, VP of Operations for Forsyth. Last weekend, you guys went through 3 front wings, and you came through with a first-place podium finish. It seems that you guys can get through some difficult circumstances and come through with flying colors. What do you think about Paul's chances today?
You know, obviously this is a different racetrack. It's a little harder to do any passing. You know, anything can happen, but we need some luck as well. So we're just going to let things settle down a little bit here and see if we can perhaps strategize some way of getting him on his own to make up some time.
He's already jumped ahead a few spots now.
Yeah, I mean, we started 18th out of a 17-car field because of this morning's crash, but we're 11th right now. We're just going to see how it settles down and see what kind of car we've got.
All right, thanks a lot, Neil. You guys, back up to you.
Now Paul Tracy on the Bridgestone Reds, the alternate Potenzas, and he's trying to track down Bruno Junqueira for 10th. If you want more Champ Car race action, subscribe to Race Director. The series website is champcar.ws. You can pick from 6 different camera angles, listen to team radios, live telemetry, and much more, all on your home computer. Neil Johnny in 4th, got to 3rd last week, finished on the podium at Cleveland, his best run in Champ Car. And here's Graham Rahal in the Metazone car number 2. He's back there in 7th, right in front of Oriole Serbia and the other Forsyth Index car.
Let's ride around with Graham a bit here and just look at the flowing nature of this racetrack. He's coming up to the fastest corner on the racetrack. Ooh, he lifts a lot. That means that car's pushing. That should be nearly flat out at 170. Fastest straightaway. 182 at the end of this. Look at that. Only 2 gears. Flies through turn 10.
Bruno Junqueira, meantime, he was in 10th position, an early stop, but they're not in any hurry. They've got a problem back there in the motor compartment. So the Sonny's Barbecue Dale Coyne team will take the engine cover off, and that will move Paul Tracy up to 10th.
Tell me what it's doing, Bruno.
Meantime, the race for 3rd heating up. There's Wilson in the CDW9 car, red car left of your screen. We get on board that machine. Behind him, Neil Johnny and the Red Bull PKV 21.
One thing that's great to watch here as they get through these heavy corners, watch the sidewall deflection right there on the tire. As you really lean on the corners, you can really get a sense of the kind of G-forces you have, and you also can see the suspension right here. Look at that, just bends the tire. That is over 3 Gs, 170 miles an hour. You fly around here.
Johnny trying to reel in Wilson and at the same time hold off Speedy Dan Clark, who's back there in 5th. Talk about a driver who's had a difficult weekend. Clark has been off as much as he's been on, but at the moment a good run going. Our Fortune telemetry on the CDW car.
Amazing that just then you only went down to 5th gear here. bridge turn, of course, you're dropping down through the gears. Third, some people use second. Now we're coming to the slowest corner on the racetrack. Look here, he'll go down to first gear. He tries for, you know what that means? He's on fuel saving. In qualifying, they'll use first gear. If he's using second, he's trying to save a bit of fuel.
Now, Jan, talking about this going in, you thought about 21 laps was the fuel window under green.
Yes, they bought themselves a few laps because we had the caution in the beginning, but they will certainly, it'll be a 3-stop race. Unless the yellows come at a time that you take a chance, then you might actually stop more than that.
We talked for a moment at the top of the broadcast about weather here this weekend. Right now we've got some sunshine. Heavy clouds have been in and out. It's been a rainy past couple of days. We've seen some rain today, and it is very chilly here. July 1st, but it's only about 56 or 57 degrees.
And just before we went on camera, we were getting wet. So there is definitely moisture in the area. I'll have to say, I'm concerned for Graham Rahal's car when we went on board, the way he took those fast corners. That does not look good. So he has to really try to get some heat into the tires, because it looked when we rode on board earlier that car was pushing a lot.
Well, Tristan Gomendy is back on the racetrack, 2 laps down. Tough break for our pole sitter. Bruno Junqueira looks like he is done for the day with a motor problem in the Sonny's barbecue car. Riding here with Graham Rahal in the Metazone car number 2. Rahal currently in 7th spot as we work on lap number 8. Hey, next week, the second of our 3-race Canadian tour for the Champ Car World Series. Paul Tracy will be back in front of the home fans in Toronto, hoping to please the West Hill folks and trying to hold off and get closer to Sebastian Bourdais. See if Bourdais can find his way to victory lane. That's next Sunday. The Champ Car World Series in Toronto, the Champ Car Grand Prix of Toronto. It's the Steelback Grand Prix of Toronto next week. Round 2 of the Canadian Triple Crown at 1 Eastern. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. So Rahal continues to run in 7th. Oriol Servia next in line in 8th. Ryan Dial back there. He's advanced to 9th. Paul Tracy right now in 10th. So PT, who started a backup car at the rear of the field after a morning warm-up crash, is in the top 10. But Sebastian Bourdais has a 2-second lead. Talk about your terrific backdrops for the Champ Car World Series. Mont Tremblant and the Laurentian Mountains north of Montreal. It's been a picture-perfect visit here so far, although the weather's been a little bit iffy, and we're hearing that we might get some heavy rain in a couple of moments. Right now, though, the sun is shining at the circuit Mont Tremblant over race leader Sebastian Bourdais in the McDonald's car number 1. Hey, a reminder for you in a few moments, grab your mobile devices. You'll get an opportunity to vote in our Mazda virtual pit stop, where you, the viewer, try to make the right call. With Jan Beekes, Iberic, Benjamin Bourdais up over the curbing there nicely through the chicane at the end of the front straightaway. A device put in here to slow these cars down and a little extra measure of safety. It's been a very safe weekend so far. This is truly a world-class race course. But a guy who's comfortable here is Robert Dornbos. We talked to him a couple of times, Jan, and he was over the moon, I think, about being here to race.
This is his style of racetrack. He likes Spa in particular is one of his favorite racetracks. He said this is as good. He calls it his second favorite, even better than Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, Road America.
So Dornbos second in the Ozjet 14. Michelle, he's got a good run going.
Yes, he does, and I'm here with team owner Keith Wiggins. Keith, you guys are obviously now in the hunt for the championship. Has that changed your team strategy?
No, not at this stage of the year. I mean, we've just got to go and get as many points as we can and be as competitive as we can at every race. So it's a bit early for that, but of course it's in everybody's mind, and we want to be consistent.
Well, and right now, let me be the first to wish you on behalf of everyone here a very happy birthday.
Well, thank you very much to everybody out there.
Hope to see you on the podium.
Thank you.
Keith Wiggins, Paul Stoddart, the owners of Minardi Team USA, and Dornbos in second spot. Speedy Dan Clark, their other driver, in 5th. And again, there was some talk coming into this weekend that Clark was really kind of feeling left out after a great end of the season a year ago. Dornbos is second in the championship, has yet to win a race. And Dan Clark was, kind of feeling as though he wasn't in on all the fun, but he's making up for it here today.
He's been quick here. As you mentioned earlier, he has spent a lot of time off the racetrack, but he's definitely been trying hard.
For 8th position, Oriol Servia, Ryan Dial. Great run for Dial in the Pacific Coast Motorsports 28 car. He's had 3 top 10s this season for that first-year Champ Car team, and his teammate Alex Figge is back in 13th, one of the 2 Americans in the series, and Dial really with a good start here today.
And for Ryan Dial, he said just moments before the start of the race that he wasn't a big fan of the rain. So if he's heard the report that there could potentially be rain on the horizon, and they'll get a good view of it as they go down the back straightaway, they'll see if some clouds are coming. And he may be thinking, you know what, I've got a racy car in the dry. I better give it everything I have right now, because he said it was the slickest racetrack he has ever been on when it rains.
He's another of the drivers who spent a couple of trips into the grass here this weekend. Didn't damage the car, but he certainly has found the limit here at the Circuit Mont Tremblant. Something interesting, we're at the front end of a 3-race Canadian swing for the Champ Car World Series. Next week, Toronto, and then in 2 weeks we'll be at Edmonton for the Rexall Grand Prix of Edmonton. And there's a 3-event Canadian Triple Crown that's being staged this year. It's a team competition. Average finish among the 2 drivers on each team will be calculated, and the winning team will get a lovely trophy that's been specially created. It's an Intuit carving that'll be presented to the winning team in the Canadian Triple Crown. Now, the Team Australia boys, they didn't look in very good shape at the start because both their cars failed to get off the grid in the standing start. But now they've gotten them refired. Will Power is 11th. Simone Pagenaud 15th, Cameron.
I've caught up with team owner Derek Walker. And Derek, what happened to your 2 cars on the start?
We didn't stop.
Good point.
We won't really know till we get the cars back in and download the data. It's a little strange that both cars had the same problem, but you know, we will have to wait and see, but we're just going for it.
Contact between Power and Paul Tracy. Tracy goes around, gets the car pointed in the right direction, but gives up a spot. That was a battle for 10th. Meantime, the fight rages on the racetrack. Halen and Pagenaud.
I believe
Power and
that's still
Pagenaud.
Power. What happened was that Power had to slow dramatically, then made contact with Paul Tracy. Jan Halen then took the opportunity to get by him. Power then passes him back.
And here comes Tracy now, back on the throttle in the 3 car. Remember, that's a backup car. So Power got by Tracy. Tracy went around after they touched. And then Halen was repassed by Will Power. So that should move Power into 10th position. Tracy should be shuffled back to 12th or 13th now.
And of course, Paul Tracy was the person who was making the contact in Cleveland here in a way as a payback, so to speak, although they weren't involved in Cleveland. And you know, that's all Will Power. Paul Tracy actually tried to give him some room. That is a place where you approach at 180 miles an hour, you break down to 75, but Will Power just didn't get far enough alongside. He needed to be in better position, so definitely not Paul Tracy's fault. It was an aggressive Will Power who really had his wheel where it shouldn't have been.
You've got a lot of drivers who had problems at the start. Of course, PT wrecked in the morning warm-up, had to bring out the backup car. You had Power and Pagenaud not fire. Gomendy didn't fire. He was supposed to be the pole starter today. Got a lot of fast race cars pretty deep in the field early on here.
Very interesting as they do try to work through. Amazing at that kind of speed, at least at the moment, it doesn't appear as though there's damage or a cut tire on either car. And we joke about how Paul Tracy tends to give people the chrome horn, as they call it.
A little further before we stop.
That's Neil Mickelwright talking to Paul Tracy. So they're trying to get him back fired up again, get him to save some fuel. What I was saying is, unfortunately, that is the chrome horn comes from the fact that you're hitting somebody with the bumper, not with the horn to get him to move over.
Well, Will Power, of course, Rookie of the Year a year ago, 3rd in the championship. We talked to him earlier in the weekend about racing here.
Because it's so fast, you make one mistake and you can see just in this session what happened to Paul Tracy. So it's going to be a tough race, I reckon, because the weather's sort of very unpredictable. It can rain in one part of the circuit, then it'll be dry in the rest. So I mean, it's going to make for good racing for the fans. So I'm looking forward to it.
Now, Will Power wasn't having much fun early on, but with 15 laps on the board, he's gotten himself to the top 10, 3rd in the championship. He can't afford to finish deep in the field. He needs to get as many points as possible.
And I would say that when he found out what happened with Tristan Gomendy at the start, and I think Cameron actually said that, was that he was essentially given a gift. He had a clear racetrack ahead of him, and I know it was going through his mind. I do great standing starts. This race is mine. I'm ahead of Sebastian Bourdais. He drops the clutch, and the thing just loses fire. That's got to be crushing.
Bourdais is the leader, working lap 17. Hey, coming up, the famous light blue walls of Watkins Glen in New York State. Always a welcome sight for race fans. Scott Dixon, the winner a year ago at the Glen. He'll try to make it 2 in a row. Fend off points leader Dario Franchitti and the surging Marco Andretti. The Camping World IndyCar Grand Prix at Watkins Glen is on ABC next Sunday at 3:30 Eastern. More information at ESPN.com. Bourdais is your race leader, and he's got a 4-second lead over Robert Dornbos. Justin Wilson and Neil Johnny. Heavy fight going on for third. We'll update it for you when we come back. Working lap number 19 at the Circuit de Mont Tremblant. It's the Champ Car Grand Prix Mont Tremblant. I'm Rick Benjamin. Jan Vikas is alongside. Sixth race of the 2007 Champ Car World Series season. Cameron Steele, Bill Stevens, Michelle Beisner with us on pit road. Sebastian Bourdais took advantage of a big scramble on the standing start. He's got a 5-second lead over Robert Dornbos. Right now, everything looks great for the driver of the McDonald's car number 1. He looked to be in great shape a week ago, and it didn't work out for him. He is the championship leader and won 3 races in a row going into last week's Grand Prix of Cleveland. Right now, Robert Dornbos second. Maybe the story on is this guy again. Paul Tracy wrecked his primary car, comes out in a backup car. They pitted him early to go to an alternate strategy.
Fairly routine pit stop, but what's not routine is that he came in quite a few laps earlier than he needed to. We've seen none of the other top teams. He went obviously from reds to blacks. We know traditionally that Paul Tracy likes the black sidewall Bridgestones. I don't think that's the greatest move as far as strategy goes, but we didn't think the same thing in Cleveland, right, and it ended up working for him. So it all depends on rain. And if I was out there, I would want to stretch my fuel and pit as late as I possibly could in case I wanted to get rain tires so I don't have to make an extra stop.
Well, it certainly does look, and we got a report a few moments ago. We know that Ryan Dial's on pit road as well. Dial was running 10th in the Pacific Coast car. He's just come in for tires. Here's Tracy's teammate, Oriol Servia. We had a report that rain was just moments away, and up at the end of the racetrack, turn 14, it does look as though some very heavy, low black clouds are coming in through the mountains here. The Laurentian Mountains north of Montreal is where the Circuit de Mont Tremblant is located. Check in on the battle for 8th. Servia, Will Power right behind. Catherine Legg with a good run. She's up to 10th for Dale Coyne's Sonny's Barbecue team. Her teammate Bruno Junqueira out qualified her. As we see Catherine, Bruno behind the wall after a couple of laps with apparently a motor problem. Servia in 8th. Power is about a half-second back there in 9th, and then you've got Catherine Legg in 10th position, and she's another couple of seconds back.
And Servia and Catherine Legg have something in common in that neither of those drivers tested here. And so you would expect that they would run better in the race because they haven't had an opportunity to make as many changes. And now by the time you get to the race, they can get the car dialed in.
Well, Justin Wilson in 3rd spot. Bill Stevens headed for pit road.
Here comes that number 9 car. Remember yesterday in qualifying, this team came within a fraction of getting the front row. They are changing from the reds to the primary tires, and Phil Howard says no changes on the car to Cameron Steele.
They hold Graham Rahal just a little bit longer to make sure they get a full dump of fuel. He was asking for more tire pressure, and the team has reported they are definitely in fuel conservation mode at this point. Sebastian Bourdais reportedly will be coming in on the next lap. He's asking for a little bit more front wing. We'll see if they give it to him. He also is asking for a higher rear tire pressure.
If you have a higher rear tire pressure, and that's what I would expect for Graham Rahal because he was in some of the really fast corners and the car was pushing. This is a great example. Let's, if we can stay with this, he is on cold tires, and look how he has to be so ginger on a cool day to get those Bridgestones warmed up.
Yeah, remember the air temperature a little less than 60. Here's the race leader and the championship leader, Sebastian Bourdais, and the McDonald's one, Cameron.
Right on the mark.
Well, you can hear him calling him in. The rain is just slightly starting to fall as they take the red tires off, go to black for full fuel. And you can see the adjustment on the wing. They did do it. A little bit risky right now because there are drops starting to fall here in the pits, and there is a big cloud. Bill Stevens.
In the middle of their pit stop on Robert Dornbos down here at Minardi, they have changed over to the primary tires, topped off the fuel, and an excellent pit stop.
So Dornbos running second, pitting on the same lap as Bourdais and Jan. That means that, at least for now, their fuel economy in Bourdais is about even. You try to go a lap further than the standard bearers, the Newman Haas-Lanigan team.
Yes, and the people who will move up are those who made a call to pit road, looking to see if Will Power, he didn't come in. When they restarted Will Power, he did not pit. Servia now taking advantage and went the same distance as Bourdais, but much longer than his teammate Tracy.
Oriol Servia down and away with Bridgestone Potenza Blackwall tires, the standard Champ Car World Series rubber. And Serbia was in 8th at the time of that stop. Power cycles up to 3rd behind Bourdais and Dornbos. On the go, you can follow all the exciting Champ Car World Series action with Champ Car Mobile all season long. The series website is champcar.ws. Download live leaderboards, wallpapers, ringtones, and more to your mobile phone. Standard data rates do apply. We stay under green, but weather's an issue as we watch Serbia come back up through the gearbox. He moves to 4th behind Power here. Justin Wilson shown 5th at the moment. And there is Power in the Aussie Vineyards car number 5, 3rd in the championship. He's on the Bridgestone Reds at the moment. Now, Jan, if we get rain and the call to Power to come to pit road, everybody will have to stop for tires. That will shuffle the deck immensely. We'll talk more about that as we see a little moisture on one of our camera lenses.
Well, definitely some moisture coming down right now. I asked Derek Walker, I said the rain is coming. He says not enough to make a difference. No rain tires going on. They're putting the primary black tires, but a full fuel load. You see him hold them that way. So some of the teams may be a little bit worried about the rain, but so far not coming hard.
You saw the pole sitter, Tristan Gomendy, who's out there just, you know, he's lost laps. He's lost a lot of laps, so he's out there giving it his all. And he's a rookie who is ailing somewhat physically, but he's going to hang in there and race hard, and you can learn a lot here at Tremblant.
Now for Gomendy right now, it's all about seat time. Remember, he was supposed to start on the pole. They couldn't get the car started. He didn't even make it to the grid for the standing start. Took him 2 laps to get his car fixed and running. He is out there 2 laps down in 16th. So the McDonald's #1 of Sebastian Bourdais. After the round of pit stops, Bourdais moves back to the top of the leaderboard ahead of Robert Dornbos. Next week, Paul Tracy in front of his hometown fans at Toronto. Sebastian Bourdais will be trying as well to score the win. It's the Steelback Grand Prix of Toronto, 1 Eastern Sunday. More information at ESPN.com. Back live to Mont Tremblant in Quebec, Canada. The race leader is still Sebastian Bourdais, but as we had been hearing, rain is going to be a factor today. Umbrellas are up. A couple of cars have gone off. We've got rain at least at one end of the racetrack. Everybody's still on standard slicks at the moment, but they may start getting the rain tires out. Now, here's what happened to Bourdais a moment ago.
And you can see it was on the braking zone on the approach to turn number 2. And there's a guy we talked about. It'd be better to be lucky than good. He was lucky and good there. That was a nice save, and you're allowed to shortcut the chicane as long as you give that time and distance back.
Full course yellow. Jan Halen has hit the wall. Alex Tagliani had spun and gathered it up a few moments ago. So when rain starts and you're on slicks, then it becomes all sorts of wildness that can ensue. Halen has gone off and clouded the concrete, and we are under yellow for the second time here this afternoon. Halen was 13th at the time of that incident, and you can see the skid marks off the exit of the corner.
Well, Rick, our leader, Sebastian Bourdais, is reporting on the radio that some of the track is really wet, quote. But Kenny Seawick told him that we got patches of clear over here near the pit. So obviously many different areas of the track, a long track here, and rain in some areas. And right now in the pits, it's actually looking kind of clear.
Alex Tagliani in the Walmart Tide, car number 8. New backing on that car from the R Sports team through the Canadian swing here. And Tagliani recovering from the spin and staying out on the racetrack in 8th behind Will Power. Might be Power that's gotten past him. It is Power in the 7th spot there. Here's another look.
He swung wide in turn number 4, then lost it in turn number 5. And when you're on slick tires, look at this. There is just nothing home. As soon as those tires get shiny, it's full-on slick track.
What didn't help him there, too, he was up over the curbs that are painted.
But the main thing, he didn't really mind another spin. You heard him just race the engine. The one thing you don't want to do is kill it. You'd rather have another 360. Whatever you do, you just mash the throttle and say, if I kill it, my race is over. If not, I can always come back and fight towards the front.
Under caution, Alex Tagliani continues to run in 8th position. He always loves coming back here to Quebec, where he was born and was raised, and we had a chance to visit with him a little earlier this weekend, have a little fun with Alex Tagliani.
Tremblant is a nice place for recreation. It's good for snowboarding in the winter. It's going for water skiing and sea-doing, you know, on the lakes. If you've never been here, it's a fantastic place for tourists to come by. When you're on the water, it always looks that you're going faster than when you're on the road. It's just completely different because you're using more your body, you know, to turn and things like that. In the Champ car, you're belted in, you don't move as much. So it's quite different, but I mean, it's a lot of fun. Everything that keeps your mind, you know, like off the stress and the intensity once in a while when you have breaks. And so far this year I've been pretty busy, but it's always fun.
And if you'd like to see more, log on to the series website, champcar.ws. More of Alex's trip to Mont Tremblant. A little on what he did on this honeymoon and why he feels he's better behind the wheel than he is on the water. But that was pretty good form on the Ski-Doo.
Yeah, that was great. And, you know, he's been on the water here momentarily and didn't do quite so well in the car as he did on the Ski-Doo.
So tagging the Walmart Tide entry here this weekend and for the next few weeks in 8th position as we are under yellow for the second time. All right, let's reset the field. Sebastian Bourdais is out in front. Robert Dornbos will restart second. They've run 1-2 much of the race so far as we work lap 27. Justin Wilson is third in the CDW9. Dan Clark's up to fourth now, and Neil Johnny has cycled back to fifth. Graham Rahal sixth in front of Will Power. Tagliani, Servia, and Ryan Dial. Paul Tracy back to 11th. He's had an adventure-filled day here so far at the Circuit de Mont Tremblant. All right, the rain seems to have held off for now, although it is wet at some parts of the speedway. We'll find out more when we continue. We'll see if rain tires will be a factor here this afternoon at the Champ Car Mont Tremblant. We'll be back. ESPN's coverage of the Champ Car World Series, Champ Car Mont Tremblant, is brought to you today by CDW, the right technology right away. Under caution at Circuit Mont Tremblant for an incident involving Jan Halen. He's okay, but the car against the barrier. Time now for our Mazda virtual pit stop, where you try to make the right call. Our question today, which team in the Champ Car World Series has the strongest driver combination? Newman Haas Lanigan with Graham Rahal and Sebastian Bourdais, PKV with Neil Johnny, or the Team Australia boys, Will Power and Simone Pagenaud. Vote A, B, or C. Text 55333. Each text entry costs 50 cents. It's available on most cell carriers. Neil Johnny, Tristan Gomendi, of course, the PKV drivers. And we'll have the results for you a little later on our telecast. Field coming up the hill. There's moisture at certain parts of the racetrack. No one's gone for rain tires thus far. We should be seeing a restart here shortly. Word is the pit road is open. Paul Tracy has stopped again for fuel only, trying to take advantage of strategy as he did a week ago in Cleveland, and it put him at the top of the board. But Bourdais off the racetrack. Was he aiming for pit road? He comes back on the racetrack. What happened?
Wow.
There's the McDonald's car number 1. He went straight off in turn 14 into the gravel. And how about this? PT has stopped on the racetrack.
Wow.
Cooked the motor, it appears.
Sebastian Bourdais coming for a restart. You want to get good drive off the final corner, and he went all the way across the sand trap, almost got into the tires. Very uncharacteristic mistake. And then obviously this one here is a mechanical.
Paul Tracy, who wrecked his primary car in the morning warm-up. This puts Robert Dornbos out into the lead in the Ozjet car, the 14, second in the championship.
Oh,
and
look
the
at the rain
starting to pick up now. This is going to change everything.
Hey guys, right where Sebastian went off is where the rain is starting. It seems to come in the soonest right here at the top of pit road. It is definitely very wet. Rain coming down hard. Sebastian's crew has the rain tires up on the wall. So we'll see if he comes in for those. Let's go down to Bill Stevens.
With Michael Cannon running the show for Robert Dornbos, has this one been wild enough for you yet?
Plenty wild, and I think it's about to get wilder. I mean, driving these things in the wet on slicks is it's like going on a greased dance floor. It's terrible.
But you have a driver that seems to be able to get the job done in the wet.
He's a pretty sure-footed guy, that's for sure.
We'll see how it pans out for you.
Now, very interesting information from the pits. First of all, thank you, Cameron. That would make sense. If you had a rain shower that came just before Sebastian Bourdais got there, he would be the first person to have to test it. The same thing happened to him at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. He was leading. It was wet. He had to go through first, found out that it was way slicker than he thought. Shortcut. And so now this is kind of deja vu all over again, as they say. And you know what? It's usually great to be leading, but it's not good to be leading when it suddenly rains, because someone has to test the waters, and it turned out to be Sebastian Bourdais.
Dornbos behind the safety car, the Mazda RX-8. Another look coming to turn 14 here.
Yeah, see, he goosed it to try and get some heat in the tires, and when he tried to turn, he just went completely straight off across the gravel, and what would have happened is everyone behind Sebastian would have immediately seen him go straight. They would have checked up, so he saved the day for everyone else. But boy, man, you don't see Sebastian Bourdais do that very often.
Well, I don't know that there's much he could do. His world-class driving talent, we all know it and we all appreciate it, I think. But there's just not much you can do. He's on slicks. He's trying to heat the tires up. And up at turn 14, at that end of the racetrack, that's where the clouds have been the heaviest. That's where the rain had started first. And I'm assuming, we can't see it really from our vantage point, but that's where the track would be the wettest at the moment. We stay caution. 47 minutes of racing has elapsed. We've got 58 minutes to go here. And of course, under caution for the second time. This all began when we started to get some moisture on the track. Jan Halen went off and hit the wall. Alex Tagliani spun. We'll get an update on Paul Tracy's situation. Looked as though he had cooked a motor in the 3 car, and that would be the second car of the day for Paul Tracy. And we're hearing that Sebastian Bourdais is going to stop. Cameron.
Well, it reported over the radio that it wasn't really fun being the first car, but now he's coming in alternate strategy. He's going to fill the car up and go to the back of the field, see if this plays out for him, and he's away.
You see Catherine Legg also on pit road, and Dale Coyne's Sonny's barbecue car. A couple of other cars electing to stop now as well. Dornbos will be the restart leader as things currently stand. Then Justin Wilson, Dan Clark, Neil Johnny, and Graham Rahal. So we'll see where Bourdais slots back in here. He's on the lead lap, but he gives up a lot of track position. And there's sunshine in another part of the racetrack. All right, before we get the green, let's catch you up on some of the other motorsports action here at Mont Tremblant this weekend. The Champ Car Atlantic Championship, powered by Mazda. 7th race of the season run here earlier today. Standing start. And the field was clean through turn number 1, where they did not use the chicane. Now, Frank Pereira from France started on the pole in the Condor Motorsports car number 11. He led flag to flag for his first career Champ Car Atlantic Championship win here. Cooper Tires presents the Champ Car Atlantic Championship, powered by Mazda. Pereira now 3rd in the championship. Rafa Matos, left of your screen. He is the championship leader. He ran 2nd here today. Field behind the safety car. Robert Dornbos is the race leader. Let's get more from his pit stall.
I'm down here with Paul Stoddard, other team owner of Minardi. Actually, let's talk a little bit about Dan Clark, the team that's really doing well right now. There was some frustration this weekend. Tell me about that.
Yeah, Dan's had a rough start to the season, as everybody knows. But yesterday he was in pole position, and we just got it wrong by a lap on the timing. Now he's up there in 3rd, and it's just what Dan needs. He needs one confidence boost to get back to the speedy Dan we all know he can be.
Now, with this pending weather, what's your strategy going to be like?
Watch the weather and wait. At the moment, we're in a good position, but with 50-odd minutes to go, anything can happen, and in motor racing, it normally does.
Paul Stoddard, thank you very much.
Yeah, and anything can happen on a day like today. Thing is about Dornbos, he would have just learned a lesson from Sebastian Bourdais. He'll be very cautious as Paul Tracy's calling it a day. Dornbos has a lot of work to do now that he's the leader.
LPT, the winner in Cleveland last week, apparently a cooked motor in his 2nd car of the day. Back underway, Dornbos, Wilson, and Dan Clark, the Ozjet boys, 1st and 3rd. There's Oriol Servia in the Forsyth Index 7 car, trying to carry the banner. Pressure from Justin Wilson. Jan, is this a case where he's thinking, hey, if we're going to get bad weather, I want to be the race leader?
Well, the time that you can make up positions is when the tires are cold. So once all the tires are up to pressure and temperature, it's very hard to pass. Let's find out if Justin Wilson... Oh, look at my goodness! That was almost a huge wreck for Robert Dornbos because it's still slick out there. You got to stay off the curves.
Guys, one of the problems they're having down here on pit road is anticipating the weather. We had rain a few moments ago. The sun is out now, but everybody just turned around, and there's a huge cloudzilla headed this way that may bring some more wet weather. They just do not know how to prepare.
And you may have noticed right up here on the back of the car of Dornbos, he was on the power to pass. The moment that he got a big twitch coming off that really high-speed corner in the dry, it's 170 miles an hour. He got the thing sideways and saved it. Knew he was in trouble. In the past, he would have blocked, but he got his hand slapped in Cleveland for blocking. So what does he do? He hits the power to pass to protect. It's called the power to not be passed.
Yeah.
And it worked great.
Playing defense instead of offense. He got that right rear tire up on the painted curbing again. And if it's a little bit wet, nobody's gone to rain tires yet. It's like trying to drive on glass. Take a look at the telemetry of these two cars now down into the 1st corner.
You have to look sort of at the minimum and the maximum. You can't look at them exactly at the same time, because obviously Dornbos will be going quicker because he's accelerating, and there'll be a bit of a lag between the two. So the way you compare them, look for the highs and the lows and see who's quicker.
Dornbos still the leader, survives a near spin last time down the backstretch. Speedy Dan Clark in third. Wilson 0.8 of a second behind the leader. Clark really starting to apply some pressure now to Justin Wilson.
You guys, I want to add something about Dan Clark. Earlier in the week, he wasn't able to go out into one of the sessions because he blew out reverse in his car. But he said he walked around the track and looked at some of the lines that other drivers were using. He said a lot of them were similar to his, but he did say that he learned some stuff. And I asked him, was it good that you missed a session? He said it's never good to miss a session, but it was really great to see what everybody else is doing from a personal perspective.
And Cameron, my follow-up question to him was, well, if you learn so much by going to the corners, why don't you guys have a driver coach? And there was a long pause saying, maybe we need to look into that, because quite a few of the teams, you would think, why do you want a driver coach when you've got some of the top drivers in the world? Well, they send people out there to look at things, and a lot of the teams like Team Australia, they have people that go, they look at gear selection, they look at lines, and it's not that you're teaching somebody how to drive, you're finding out what the competition's doing.
Well, just like the Boston Red Sox have a pitching coach, even though they've got the best record in the majors. And coaching is a good thing in most endeavors in most sports. On board Wilson, the CDW 9 car. And there is Clark in the Ticketmaster Ozjet car number 4. Here's Wilson. He's been struggling a bit this year, but second right now. Bill Stevens, Paul Tracy won't be 2 in a row.
After just a fabulous run last week in Cleveland, coming home to Canada, Paul, I know you wanted better than this. I know you're devastated.
Yeah, I mean, we just had a bad start to the day. I went off this morning. We damaged the car. We had to start at the back in a backup car. And then we were trying all kinds of different alternate strategies to try to get out of sequence to everybody, and then come into that restart, the engine let go. So it's just when it rains, it pours.
See you in Toronto.
Now Paul Tracy, the Forsyth Index 3 car, Cleveland winner, won't be around for the checkered flag today. If you want more Champ Car race action, subscribe to Race Director. Series website is champcar.ws. 6 different camera angles, team radios, live telemetry, and much more, all at your home computer at champcar.ws. On board here, Graham Rahal down into the corner.
Lock the brakes on the entrance. Graham Rahal actually said on the first practice day, my car feels in the dry like I'm driving in the wet. He says it's not like the front or the rear gives up, it's just the whole car sliding like it's in the wet. So that's not the kind of trouble that you want leading into a track that might be getting more slick.
And Dan, you were telling me something interesting, that most teams try to combine data and strategies, but what Graham wants in the race car isn't at all really like what Sebastian Bourdais wants in his car.
You would think that the best possible person to have as your teammate would be Sebastian Bourdais, because he's the fastest guy out there. Why not use his setups? If Graham Rahal tries to drive the same setup as Sebastian Bourdais, he says it's undrivable. He says, I can't figure out how Sebastian does it. The car pushes for me. I think it pushes like a pig. I don't know how he does it.
Certainly he does it very, very well. Dornbos the leader, Wilson is second, Graham Rahal in the top 5 in the Medizone car number 2. Graham Rahal, of course, 18 years of age, from Ohio, stepping up the Champ Car. Graham, how intense is that?
The level of competition to me is as expected. I knew it was going to be tough. Anytime you get into the top level of motorsports, no matter where it is, it's difficult. So for me, I knew it was going to be this way, and I've just tried to I don't know, I guess reach what everybody else can do and be as successful as they are.
Graham Rahal certainly with high aspirations in the Champ Car World Series. One car off the pace. As we come down the front straightaway, it looks like Dan Clark may have had a problem off the final corner. Clark was third. He's given up that spot now to Neil Johnny, and he is off the pace. Dan Clark with a problem.
We could hear Dan Clark going down here past pit road on the outside. And it sounded like there was a problem with the motor. It just didn't sound like it was getting up to rev. So that from this end.
So the Ozjet Ticketmaster car number 4, Speedy Dan Clark, was up in third, but he will give up that spot and a lot more, and he is headed off the racetrack into the gravel trap, into a safe area. So Dan Clark's bid comes to an early end here today at the Circuit Mont Tremblant. We are calling the Champ Car World Series, the Champ Car Grand Prix of Mont Tremblant, the 6th race of 2007. I'm Rick Benjamin with Jan Beekes, Cameron Steele, Bill Stevens, Michelle Beisner for us on pit road. It has been a wild one here today. We've seen several different strategies come into play already. Still have 48 minutes of racing to go. And Clark had gotten himself into third. but the car apparently will not be around for the checkered flag. His teammate, Robert Dornbos, here in the Ozjet car number 14, left to carry the banner for Minardi Team USA. And he's the leader by 2.5 seconds over Justin Wilson.
And the curb hopping there, they found in qualifying, all the drivers did, that in order to get a quick lap time here, you have no choice. That you need to beat the car over those curves in the chicane to get a little bit less, or a more straight line, I should say. And if you get all 4 wheels over that white line, there will be a penalty. So you got to keep 2 on the racetrack.
Now, if you're not familiar with Champ Car World Series competition, there's a feature these cars carry called Cosworth Power to Pass, as Serbia nearly loses it. This is the battle for position. They're 8th and 9th, and you have 50 extra horsepower on tap with a button on the steering wheel. You use it to pass another car. Sometimes you use it to keep somebody from passing you. Serbia hasn't touched his yet. He still has 60 seconds. Bourdais used up some of his. And we have a full course caution. Alex Figge has spun, the Pacific Coast Motorsports 29. Dan Clark off with a motor problem, evidently.
Turn 6, you'll pick up 14.
And Alex Figge is off as well. So we're full course yellow. Dan Clark has climbed out of the 4 car already, has the helmet off, so he knows his day is done. Yellow for the 3rd time today. Dornbos is the leader. Wilson second. Sebastian Bourdais, who led the early laps after getting a great start while other cars had problems on the standing start. Well, Bourdais was 9th right before that caution flew. So there's your leader, Dornbos. Wilson second. Johnny is 3rd. It's been a wild one here at Mont Tremblant. We'll see what happens next. See the call. 37 Champ Car Mont Tremblant. Many of the front runners deciding to stop under caution for Alex Figge, who may have just run out of power at the end of the front straightaway. Race leader Robert Dornbos there in the Ozjet 14. Runner up the 9 car, the CDW car of Justin Wilson. They'll make their second stops of the afternoon.
Now, would you consider short filling here to pick up position?
Serbia's in. Didn't look like a short fill for Wilson.
You're clear, you're clear. We're going green next time. Green next time.
I didn't see Dornbos, though. Dornbos has dropped behind. So Wilson, he won't be in the physical lead, but he'll be in the lead of this strategy, I believe, because we know that Sebastian Bourdais was planning to stay out.
Wilson and Janney both picked up spots. Dornbos must have been a tad slower on pit road. Now this will vault one of the Aussie Vineyards cars to the restart lead behind Graham Rahal. Looks like Rahal actually will be the first car in line in the Metazone, car number 2. Hey, next week, Paul Tracy will try to fight back, keep some momentum going in front of the hometown fans in Toronto. Sebastian Bourdais will also be the subject of much attention there. Champ Car World Series heads back to Toronto, the Canadian Triple Crown's 2nd event, next Sunday at 1 Eastern here on ESPN, the Steelback Grand Prix of Toronto. And for more information, log on to ESPN.com.
The interesting thing is that Graham Rahal should have stopped. He pitted 17 laps ago. You can only go 21 laps on fuel. My guess is that he missed a call and didn't come on to pit road. It makes perfect sense why Sebastian Bourdais would stay out, because they're on an alternate strategy.
Forget the target, Graham. Run hard until we give you a new target.
Again, I believe that on the Newman Haas Lanigan team for Graham Rahal, they're now having to recalculate. Bill?
Down here with Michael Cannon again. After that pit stop, Michael, you've looked at your fuel numbers. A lot of yellow flags so far today. How is it looking for Robert?
I think pretty good. We opted to fill. There's potential we can go a little bit further than these guys in the next stop. And also our last stop should be a little bit shorter than theirs. So we had to give a little bit here to get some on the end.
And it looks like the rain is holding off, at least for now.
Now, what he means by a fill is that they filled it to the brim. And those other people, which you would assume would be Wilson and Johnny, so they waited to get every ounce of fuel. But watch the exit here.
Whoa!
Squeeze play. Neil Johnny picks up that spot. Nice job for Neil Johnny's crew.
Well, I can definitely add this, you guys. Neil Johnny's crew is out working on hot pit stops this morning during the practice session. They did a number of them, unusual. They do a couple here and there, but today they did at least 3 right in succession.
All right, they've gotten Alex Figge's car refired. He comes around and will make a stop on pit road, but he loses some time. Well, right now he's showing 1 lap down. All right, Michelle, what do you have for us?
I'm here with Mark Johnson, general manager of Neil Johnny's car. You've got to be pretty impressed with how well Neil is doing, but I know that you were going to work on how he was conserving conserving fuel. Talk to me about how he's doing on that.
Yeah, Neil's doing a good job. We're right on target. We're with the rest of the field. It looks like Sebastian's got everybody covered by a lap, but we were real happy with the way that Neil's made progress. The Red Bull Gulfstream guys are doing a great job today. We picked off Dornbos on that pit stop, so we're on a little different strategy now, so hopefully it's going to play out right for us.
All right, best of luck. Thanks so much.
Getting set to go. Now Graham Rahal, first car in line. He'll be the restart leader, but as Jan has described, apparently should have stopped and didn't, so he'll have to stop in just a couple of laps. Hey, on the go, follow all the exciting Champ Car action with Champ Car Mobile. The series website is champcar.ws. Download a live leaderboard, wallpapers, ringtones, and more to your mobile phone. Standard data rates do apply. We're at the Circuit de Mont Tremblant. We're north of Montreal in the Laurentian Mountains for the 6th race of the 2007 Champ Car World Series season. It has been terrific thus far. Wild action everywhere. The pole sitter never got off the starting grid. We've had cars in the wall. We've had some rain. We've had Sebastian Bourdais lead. He went off and nearly hit the wall. Right now his teammate Graham Rahal is going to lead them to green, but he'll have to stop very, very quickly. Robert Dornbos leading the race before that caution and pit stop. We talked to him earlier about how much he likes this place.
Well, Mont Tremblant, I think, is definitely my top 3 now, because obviously I've raced on all the F1 calendar circuits, and this year back on the calendar is Spa-Francorchamps. It's in the Belgian Ardennes, and it looks very similar to this. Very challenging for a driver, and it separates the boys from the men.
Robert Dornbos, a guy who certainly has a lot of confidence, a lot of fun to talk to. All right, here's Rahal. Better him up the last rise.
Green flag, green flag.
Working lap 39. Less than 40 minutes of action left, and it's rain starting to fall again. Here we go.
I do believe I figured out why Graham Rahal and Will Power didn't stop. They're going to lose a lot of track position when they stop, but if they can keep this going for a few more laps, they may only have to make one more. So they don't want to be in a case where some of these others who have to make 2.
Jan, you're absolutely right. It was the call from John Tzanikis on the radio telling Graham to stay out. It was their decision and their strategy to keep it out on the track. So we'll see if that pays off for him later. So your speculation is correct.
He should be on light fuel, right?
He'll be on light fuel, but he doesn't have new tires. So Sebastian Bourdais should be a bit racier. But we know that Sebastian, with that yellow, should only have to stop one more time.
And if you caught a glimpse of the sky back there, you can see the clouds are very low and moving back in. We had a little bit of moisture on the front straightaway a moment ago as the field came toward turn 1. Here's Rahal. Now Power and Pagenaud are 2nd and 4th for Team Australia, the Aussie Vineyards cars, the green cars. Remember that they didn't launch on the initial start. They were at the absolute tail end of the field, but through strategy and some smart race driving, they have gotten themselves to the top 5, and we'll see how the pit stops fall here.
There's 38 minutes to go. That's what all the teams are watching up here, because it's not only how many laps can you do on fuel, it's how much time is left. So every time there's a yellow flag, it changes the whole dynamic.
About a 2-for-1 discount on fuel when we're under caution.
But if it stays green, you want to pit with like 28 minutes to go. So they're going to have to run for 10 minutes. That's going to be a tall order with as little fuel as they have.
Looks like it's raining again at the exit of the final turn, 14 and 15. Rahal out front by a couple of car lengths over Power.
I can definitely confirm the raindrops coming down here in the pit area. You guys, it's starting to rain harder once again. I feel like I'm in Hawaii maybe. We have sunshine, we have rain, we have maybe rain coming. It's a little bit crazy. I also want to update you on the Pacific Coast Motorsports cars. Figgy has had radio problems all day, and then the brakes are what caused him to stall the car. The brakes were not modulating correctly. And also on Ryan Dial's car, he's been dealing with a stuck throttle and a brake problem. So problems mounting for the PCM team.
But they're shown 11th and 12th, and that's a great outing for this first-year team. The Figgy family and their Pacific Coast Motorsports team did a very nice job as they learn the ropes of the Champ Car World Series.
The strategy that John Tzanikis, of course, on the radio, and longtime team member of Newman Haas Lanigan, they're also playing in for the rain. If it started to rain, wouldn't it be handy if you had to pit about the same time you needed rain tires?
Absolutely.
And it could be your last stop. So it's very interesting how all these things have to become aligned and just the timing perfect.
And you can see more rain on one of our camera lenses there at the exit of the chicane. Now, who's lurking back in third? Not Justin Wilson in the CDW9 car. He's 5th, but Sebastian Bourdais, who nearly clouded the wall when the rain started back several minutes ago. They stopped Sebastian. They fueled the car. He cycled back up through the field, and he runs 3rd right now, 4 seconds behind. But for 4th, Wilson trying to track down Simon Pagenaud. Pagenaud in the Aussie Vineyards car, the green and yellow machine right in front of the CDW9 of Wilson.
And Wilson's got good drive here.
Took a look to the inside. Dornbos is next in line in the 14 car, the Ozjet machine.
And what Michael Cannon was trying to say in regards to Robert Dornbos, who, by the way, we call Bobby D for fun for his American racing name.
Bad Bobby D, I think,
Bad
right?
Bobby D, there you go. And wow, look at Justin Wilson in the center of the screen there. Big wiggle as this track starts to get wet.
Of course, it was Dornbos in front of Wilson that threw a scare into us a few moments back when he got up on the curbing and nearly went around. If you're Wilson, how hard do you press here?
Oh, you got to press really, really hard. But look, this is a gamble. Every time you come into this corner, when you go up over the top, you just don't know how much grip is going to be left.
Wilson, a rain expert. Remember, he's a native of England, loves driving in the wet. Probably not so much on slicks, though.
Wow, and it's coming down harder there now. This is looking good for Graham Rahal and Will Power. If it rained enough to where you needed rain tires, I don't think we've seen one car today on rain tires because you need a fair bit of rain. But if it turns out you need it, those guys are going to be in the catbird seat.
Well, I can tell you guys the hardest rain we've seen all day falling here in the pits
Will
now.
Power, he was 2nd. He spins off the racetrack, Cameron. Back up on the racetrack. He kept it running, but Power in the Aussie Vineyards 5 goes around.
So now advantage Graham Rahal. He's the only one left towards the front who might be able to come into the pits. Coming off of the corner, and just as he puts the power down, there was some moisture there. It looks dry from here, but in that corner, it doesn't take very much moisture at all.
And you can see this is turn 8. Lots of moisture on the camera lens. There's Dornbos alongside Pagenaud.
Wow, that was a move around the outside. And that's what you want to do when it gets wet. Fine.
Alex Tagliani is the guy who cashed in. He's picked up a couple of spots here. Oh, 4 cars bunched up behind Bourdais. Bourdais 3rd. You've got Pagenaud there. Wilson and Dornbos all packed together.
And Bourdais is trying to stay on the wet line. Wow, and a move by Dornbos. Look at all the different lines. They're searching for grip. Around the outside goes Wilson.
Up the hill, Bourdais trying to keep the car on the road right now.
And anytime you see a driver drive around the outside of the corner, that's not a mistake. There's more traction around the outside, but look at
Wilson's got a run on him.
I think he's got him.
Justin Wilson by Bourdais for 2nd spot. Rahal is still the leader, and he's pulled out to an 8-second advantage, but Wilson moves around Bourdais.
Wow.
Here comes Pagenaud.
See? Look what happens when aerodynamics don't play. They're going slow enough now to where this is like a Formula 4 dice. This is awesome.
Everybody tiptoeing here, trying to go as quick as they can. Neil Johnny going to the outside there. Now, the rain line you talk about, Jan, is usually not to the inside of these corners.
Yes, it's more porous around the outside where the cars have not polished the asphalt.
Alex Figge off again.
Looks like he'll be able to rejoin. But they're putting out rain tires on pit road for Graham Rahal. This could play. This is going to work out fantastic only if it continues to rain, because he'll be the first person who has an opportunity to get the wet tires. Sebastian's dropping back.
Dornbos to the inside. He'll pass Bourdais and make him give up another spot. One car off into the grass. That might be Tagliani back there.
Wow, look at the rain here. I think you'd want to hit the pits.
I don't think you could keep going on slicks if it's that much rain on the backstretch.
It all depends. If it stopped right now, you'd be fine on slicks. It's just if it continues.
Alex Tagliani in the Walmart Tide car, racing for charity here in Canada, native of the Quebec province. Here comes Rahal to pit road. The race leader had an 8-second advantage. They're going to fuel him and put on reins. And a car goes around behind Tagliani. Oriol Servia spins into the weeds. He gets the Index Forsyth 7 car back on the racetrack. Reins going on Rahal's car.
Okay, there's 32 minutes to go, and there's probably going to be caution.
Rizzo, did you go down 2 turns?
Oh, he stalled it. This was the moment for Graham Rahal. He had the timing absolutely perfect, and now it's stalled.
Bourdais to pit road as well. Bourdais putting on rain tires too. Cameron.
They are putting the rain tires on for full team Newman Haas Lanigan cars, but Graham Rahal with problem. They're trying to rock the car back and forth to engage the starter. There's some sort of problem, and he is still in the pits. Chaos ensues down here in the rain, and it is raining harder for those putting on the rain tires, and the clouds are getting darker from the direction the weather has been coming.
Justin Wilson with tires taken care of. He is down and away. And there is the car of Tristan Gomendi, the pay-by-touch PKV 22 car. He was our fast qualifier Friday, had the pole here today, and then the car wouldn't fire, and he lost a couple of laps. Gomendi has made one up. He's cycled to 13th spot now. There is Wilson in the CDW9 car. So Rahal with a problem on pit road. Jan, you thought this was going to work out to his benefit with 31 minutes of racing remaining. They got the rain tires on, got the fuel in the car. Can't get it started.
It was perfect. You could not ask for a better scenario. John Tzanikis made a perfect call from pit road. He had his man in the lead, out of trouble. He got the rain tires at the perfect time, and then it won't restart. That's what a drag that is. Graham Rahal, that could have been his race right there. It was a great call from the pits.
Justin Wilson hoping for his first Champ Car win of the season. Paul Tracy has a win. Will Power has a win. Bourdais has 3. Rahal did get refired. He's back on the racetrack. One of the Team Australia cars off in the grass. That's the Sonny's Barbecue car of Catherine Legg offline as well. Don't think that was her down in the grass, though, a moment ago. Here's Rahal in the 2 car. The Metazone machine. So he is okay, back up to speed. The famous light blue walls of Watkins Glen, always a welcome sight for fans. Scott Dixon, the winner last year at the Glen. He'll try for 2 straight and try to fend off points leader Dario Franchitti, as well as the surging Marco Andretti in the Camping World IndyCar Grand Prix at Watkins Glen on ABC. It's next Sunday, July 8th at 3:30 Eastern. More information at ESPN.com. Less than half an hour of action to come here at Mont Tremblant for the Champ Car World Series. A lot of great activities surrounding the Champ Car move here to come to Mont Tremblant, the Champ Car Mont Tremblant Grand Prix. Native Peppercar Alex Tagliani sporting new livery this weekend for the 3 Canadian races. In support of the Tide at Walmart Victory Lap charity program. It benefits the Children's Miracle Network. By the end of the tour, the program will visit more than 100 Walmart stores in Canada and know special in-store promotions with Tide, raising money for that worthwhile cause. We welcome you back to the Circuit Mont Tremblant for the Champ Car Mont Tremblant 2007. And a reminder, join Champ Car and its sponsors. Support the Hole in the Wall Camp's Lap Leader program. Make a donation for every lap led by your favorite driver. Log on to the series website, champcar.ws. Scroll down to make your pledge in support of the Hole in the Wall Camps. Sebastian Bourdais has led 26 laps here today. He will restart 5th behind Justin Wilson. And Jan, as we get set to go green here, everyone's on rain tires. The rain's been coming down. The track is very slick. Who's in great shape here?
Well, pit stop wise, they're all now on the same strategy. Fuel should not be an issue in the rain. So what we're seeing is an old-fashioned duel to the finish. No one has to worry about fuel. They all have the tires. They're on the same strategy. And look at Simone Pagenaud, stalled on the start. This is not through pit strategy now. Everyone's on the same sequence. He can go racing. This is going to be great. All the top guys can just go for it.
Justin Wilson was strong and a half right before the caution on the slick tires. He gained a lot of ground, put himself into the lead with a terrific pit stop for the R Sports team. So Wilson in the CDW9 will be the restart leader. And it's Pagenaud, Johnny, Dornbos, and Bourdais. Will Power back in 6th. Pagenaud's teammate, and Wilson offline.
A carbon copy of what happened to Sebastian Bourdais, except for Justin Wilson hung on to it. Wow.
Green back in the air. Power to pass goes away because of the wet weather.
Well, it doesn't go away. It's just you may not want to use it on some of these occasions. You don't actually want more horsepower right now. You're trying to get it stuck to the road. Dornbos there in the middle of the screen. The Ozjet machine almost picked up another spot.
Johnny is 3rd. There's Dornbos in the 14 car. Bourdais right behind him, side by side for 3rd. Bourdais looks to the outside. Now remember, the rain tires don't necessarily nail you to the ground here. You still have to be careful.
Oh, it's super slick. We heard someone earlier say it was a greased dance floor. I think that was Michael Cannon. That's what it feels like behind the wheel.
Bourdais trying to find running room on the inside and the outside of Dornbos. Wilson still the leader. Pagenaud 2nd. Johnny is 3rd there in the Red Bull PKV car. Here comes Dornbos.
Dornbos is trying a little bit of the dry line, and a lot of other people. And Wilson went off.
Trouble for Wilson. Justin Wilson offline, loses the lead to Pagenaud, and now Power will go by.
I don't think you want to lead this race. The moment that you lead this race, everything goes wrong.
Look at how hard the rain. Look at the rooster tails here on the backstretch.
Tagliani making a move on Wilson now as well.
Dornbos in the 14, the Ozjet Minardi car. Third in line. Pagenaud goes to the lead. Dornbos trying to get around Johnny in the Red Bull machine.
That was a chop job there.
23 and 45 seconds remaining. 23 minutes and change here.
Who would have thought? Simon Pagenaud is coming across to lead this lap. Of course, it's early in these kind of conditions for a guy who stalled on the grid to be leading. That, as a rookie, blows my mind.
It's been a fantastic early Champ Car run for Pagenaud in that Team Australia car number 15. Won the Atlantic title a year ago out of France. You may know the story by now. Sébastien Bourdais helped him get a ride here in the Atlantic Series. Now they don't talk cars at all.
They're still friends, though. And look at the sidestep there for Sébastien Bourdais. He has to be careful. He's thinking points. Everyone else is thinking podium.
A lot of these guys are thinking, hey, I can get my first Champ Car World Series win here today if things fall right. Bourdais, as you suggest, trying to bounce back from that DNF, that 12th at Cleveland. That's the lowest he's been today in the running order after leading 26 laps. Pagenaud out in front. Coming up on 22 minutes to go.
And I've talked a couple of times about Simon Pagenaud may be the next Sébastien Bourdais, not just because Sébastien Bourdais gave him the opportunity, but he has really delivered the goods in his rookie year.
Cameron Steele.
I've caught up with Rob Edwards here on the radio with Simon Pagenaud. I almost made a confusion there, but after that start, you guys would have never thought maybe that you would have been in this position.
No, it's been a strange race with the weather changing, and again, an opportunity to try some different strategies, and Simon's executed everything we've asked him to do. We'll see what happens the next 20 minutes.
Are you guys on the radio with him much? Are you guys talking at all?
We're actually trying to leave him to focus. He's pretty clear on what he's got to do between now and the end of the race. And so I'm just trying to shut up and let him do what he needs to do.
We'll see if he can get it done.
Thank you.
Now, Will Power has gotten shuffled back to 5th. Justin Wilson, after going off at turn 8 a moment ago, he's back in 6th after leading through the restart. Tagliani 7th, Dial 8th, Servia and Graham Rahal the top 10. And side by side for position, Johnny and Dornbos. And Dornbos moves to 2nd, and Bourdais wants to drive around Johnny for 3rd.
It's worth saying for Wilson. And Johnny goes around the outside. Or stays on the outside, sorry, and keeps Sebastian at bay.
There's Bourdais in that red McDonald's #1 for Newman Haas Lanigan. They won their 100th race at Portland a couple of weeks ago. Bourdais had a motor problem, an electrical problem, didn't finish last week at Cleveland. Johnny runs in 3rd now in that Red Bull car. Michelle.
Well, and I'm here with Kevin Kalkoven. Kevin, you've got both of your drivers fighting in the top 3 spots. You've got to be pretty happy.
Well, we had an unfortunate start with the pay-by-touch and Tristan Gomendy, but I'll tell you, at this moment, Neil Janney in the Red Bull car is racing his heart out in the rain. It's some of the most exciting racing I've seen in a long while. So we're very, very happy with the way Neil's going.
And right now, this is obviously the first race here in Mont Tremblant. Your impressions of this race and the turnout?
Well, the fans are incredible. The turnout's been amazing, and the track is beautiful. So what more can you say?
I agree with that. Congratulations on all your success.
Thank you.
All right, Sébastien Bourdais now closing in on Dornbos. This is for 3rd. Pagenaud is the leader. Neil Johnny runs 2nd. And there is the battle taking shape here. Neil Johnny, meantime, looks like he's given up some spots. There is Dornbos. Bourdais getting by Johnny.
Starting to get some heat now is Neil Johnny. For a moment there, Will Power was very close. And we've talked about how Justin Wilson dropped back. And look at that rain come down. It's definitely, for a moment, it looked like it was going to dry. And part of that is that just because you have a good car in the dry does not mean you have a good car in the wet. The setups are different, and some cars just wet. Oh my goodness, I thought that Justin Wilson was going to have a big moment there. Tagliani pounces on him.
This is for 6th position, and Tag takes the Walmart car around the CDW 9 of Wilson. Whew. 19.5 minutes to go. I'm Rick Benjamin with Jan Beekes. We're at Mont Tremblant, north of Montreal, for the Champ Car Mont Tremblant, 6th race of the season. Cameron Steele, Bill Stevens, Michelle Beisner on pit road. We are just seeing some wild racing here today. The weather's been a huge factor. Bourdais trying to elbow his way past Dornbos for second. Sebastian Bourdais third right now. Simon Pagenaud has waved goodbye to this battle. He's opened up a good advantage.
But Sebastian Bourdais looked like he was just riding around. He was going to collect points. Now all of a sudden it's like somebody lit a fire under him and said, get after Dornbos. But of course, this is a championship battle. If he can somehow get a position away from Dornbos, that makes a huge difference.
And remember, starting the day, Bourdais with a 3-point lead over Dornbos for the title. Let's check in on today's Mazda Virtual Pit Stop, where you, the viewer, try to make the right call. Our question today, which team in Champ Car has the strongest driver combination? 50% of you believe in Newman Haas Lanigan, PKV, and Team Australia tying for second. You can use your mobile phone each week and text A, B, or C. Each text votes 50 cents, plus you 50 cents. And we invite you to participate in the Mazda Virtual Pit Stop and our coverage of the Champ Car World Series. All right, Simon Pagenaud, we'll see if he can hang on and get his first career victory in a moment.
Welcome to New York, Mr. Jackson.
The team.
I'm not joining the Yankees to become a star.
The turmoil.
Hey, Paul Tracy returns home next week. Champ Car in Toronto, trying to keep his momentum. PT will run in front of the hometown fans. Sebastian Bourdais, Justin Wilson, and the rest of the stars will be there too. The Champ Car World Series, the Canadian Triple Crown, will continue with the Steelback Grand Prix of Toronto on ESPN next Sunday at 1 Eastern. More information at the website, ESPN.com. Now, while we were telling you about that, the race leader, Simon Pagenaud, had a problem coming off the final turn. He went up through the grass, Jan. He gives up the lead to Robert Dornbos. Lots of rain.
Comes up to turn number 14. He's feeling a little bit of pressure from Dornbos, but it was on the brakes. Just as he turns it, you can see the right front wheel locks. Takes a ride around, just like we saw Sebastian Bourdais do earlier. What a crushing blow. I mean, that's a tough job when you're leading in difficult conditions.
Got about 10 laps to go, 14.5 minutes of racing left. And that vaults Dornbos and Bourdais back to 1 and 2 on the leaderboard. Pagenaud got back on the track to be third in front of Johnny. Side by side now, Johnny battling with Pagenaud. Actually, that's Will Power in car number 5, moving by Johnny. So Power gets to 4th. Johnny in the PKV car, the Red Bull machine, the blue car there, shuffled back to 5th late in the going.
I say again, I don't think you want to lead this race. Every person who has led this race has run into some kind of difficulty.
Well, you guys, I just want to update you on Justin Wilson.
Turn your brake light on. 9 laps.
They were talking to him on the radio. He has to hit a certain fuel economy to make it to the end of the race. That is why you have seen him dropping back. He has been having to conserve fuel here towards the end of the race.
And Cameron, of course, that's because we watched his pit stop, and I believe almost on cue we said, would you short fill here for position? They short filled Justin Wilson, meaning they didn't fill it all the way to the top so he could gain a few positions. Now he has to save fuel and gives them all back.
Well, these crew chiefs and engineers use computer power, of course, on pit road to try to figure the fuel mileage because it's such a big part of the Champ Car World Series. With the rain, you're not using probably as much fuel. We've had a lot of caution laps. This one won't go nearly the distance we thought it would. So there's a lot of different factors these teams have to figure on. One car off into the weeds momentarily, but that's Robert Dornbos in that Muirman's Ozjet 14 car. So close a week ago in Cleveland. Remember how he closed up to be right behind Paul Tracy in the last couple of laps? Our numbers showed that he had some power to pass time remaining. He actually didn't. He tried valiantly, but PT came home the winner last week in Cleveland. Dornbos said, hey, I'm close. Maybe today's the day.
Now today, his power to pass says 0. So we know he used it all. His telemetry is working fine. And right now, he doesn't need power to pass. He needs power to stay on the road. And that's what none of the leaders have been able to do, and that is to cash it in.
Bill Stevens.
Down with Robert Dornbos Sr. watching his son doing his best work. Are you holding your breath?
Yes, I'm really. The adrenaline is up here.
When it started raining, did you think maybe your son had a better chance or not as good a chance to win?
No, both ways, because he was leading when it was dry, but then with the rain, yeah.
You must be pretty proud of him.
He is, yes, but he's good in the rain too, so let's keep the fingers crossed.
You bet.
Well, talk about reshuffling the deck one more time. 11:40 of time remaining in the race. Alex Figge brings out a caution again. He's stopped up on the racetrack. See the flashing light there. They're going to have to go get him. So with 11.5 minutes to go, everyone slows down behind the safety car one more time. So if you're needing to save fuel, this certainly helps you as we get late in the ball game here. Robert Dornbos, Sebastian Bourdais, and Simon Pagenaud. See how it shakes out. Back in Mont Tremblant, getting set for a restart. Earlier this week, the Champ Car Grand Prix of Edmonton announced a multi-year deal with Canada's biggest drugstore chain, Rexall. They'll be the title sponsor. Rexall joins the very successful Edmonton race while continuing their partnership with the National Hockey League's Edmonton Oilers, who play in the Rexall Center in what they call the City of Champions. All right, 8 minutes, less than 8 minutes to go. In fact, the clock is winding down here at Mont Tremblant. Let's show you how we got to this point. Pole sitter Tristan Gomedy's pay-by-touch car wouldn't start. They had to push him off into the grass. He lost 2 laps. He's made up part of that, but has not yet gotten himself back on the lead lap. Gomedy not a factor. Troubles for Team Australia on the start as well. Will Power, Simon Pagenaud, neither car would launch. Both, though, have been factors here today. In fact, they're second and fourth after fixing the car. Rain started to fall right before halfway. Sebastian Bourdais had to miss one of the corners. The chicane. Alex Tagliani, one of the early drivers to spin in the tied Walmart 8 car. And Paul Tracy on his second car of the day after wrecking in the morning warm-up, cooked the motor in the backup 3 car. The Forsyth Index driver, the winner in Cleveland a week ago, done for the day. Getting set for another restart, Sebastian Bourdais, everyone's still on slicks. He went off track. They brought Graham Rahal onto pit road, trying to get him some rain tires, and the car stalled on pit road. Justin Wilson went off the racetrack too. He's on a slightly different fuel strategy with a short fill. He led some laps today, but Wilson restarts 7th. Back underway. 7 minutes of racing to go. Should be maybe 4 laps remaining here today. Dornbos is the leader. One car misses the chicane. The rain has stopped for now. Now, yeah, we're going to have that situation with the track starting to dry in places, and they're on rain tires.
But it'll still be wet enough to where you would want to be on rain tires. Because of that caution, that'll help people who are low on fuel like Justin Wilson. But unfortunately, he's too far back now. He's had to give up way too many positions. It pretty much is going to come down to Dornbos just trying to stay out of trouble.
0.6 of a second was his lead last time by over the one car of Sebastian Bourdais. Bourdais leading Pagenaud as they fight it out for second. Let's go downstairs.
Well, Craig, it's winding down now. I got to ask you, what's the game plan from here on out?
Well, we do have more push to pass than Dornbos does, but Sebastian's been pretty livid on the radio, thinking that Dornbos has been blocking and driving pretty aggressively. So it may be one of those deals where it's better just to take our second place and make sure we do well in the points. I know we're racing Dornbos, but it's better to finish rather than end up dead last.
Definitely a point well taken. We know he's had a couple DNFs already this season, and I got to tell you, the sun is coming out and it is all blue sky. I don't think it'll matter as we come towards the end of the race, but it is very sunny here on pit road.
Well, I think, you know, Sebastian is pretty animated on the radio at all moments of all sessions, and I don't see any blocking by Dornbos. And you know what? You could never enforce it, because in the rain, you drive all over the place looking for grip. So, unfortunately, it's a case where I think Dornbos has had a nice, clean race and has done a fantastic job, but he's got the hardest part of the race to come yet, and that's to bring the thing home.
He's clearly fast as we see the 2 Aussie Vineyards Team Australia cars, 3rd and 4th now. Bourdais got by Pagenaud a few moments ago for 2nd. Pagenaud back to 3rd after going off right before a previous restart. Power 4th. Neil Johnny is 5th. Tagliani, Wilson, Graham Rahal, Serbia, Ryan Dial the top 10, and Catherine Legg, unheralded, still on the lead lap. She is in 11th position. She's 19 seconds back. Good battle here. Johnny trying to hang on against Tagliani. This is for 5th.
And Alex Tagliani has had his struggles earlier on. Look at the vision, or lack thereof, of what they're trying to do.
Now, we got the report that we had mostly blue sky. The rain had stopped, but the track's still very wet on the backside. The rooster tails are what'll get you now.
It'll throw the spray up, obviously, off the tires, but also the tunnels of the cars that suck the car to the road, lift the water right off of the racetrack. Alex Tagliani just trying to ignore that and put pressure on Neil Johnny.
Rick and Jan, I just wanted to mention that speaking to many of the drivers today before the race, they said if it rains, it's the downhill sections where they really find where their visibility is cut to nearly zero because of the nose-down attitude of the car.
Very interesting. Here's a nose-down approach, certainly to the Navarro corner, as it's called. This is about as intense of a situation as you could ask for. A wet track that's drying with only a few laps to go, and you have plenty of fuel. You can push just as hard as you want to. This is great stuff.
Should be 3 laps to go, just less than 3 to go for these leaders now. 3 minutes, 39 seconds left on the clock that you see at the bottom of our scoring stripe, top of your screen. The Walmart car, the 8 of Alex Tagliani. Running in 6th in front of his home Providence fans.
He's made a move.
Trying to get by Neil Johnny there in the PKV car. Red Bull machine. Let's get on board here with Justin Wilson in the CDW 9. Back in 7th, looking ahead at that battle, hoping to capitalize. He's got Graham Rahal filling his mirrors. On board with Wilson. Take a look back at Rahal. In the Metazone car, trying to chase down Wilson. They should see 2 laps to go next time by. Dornbos by 3 seconds now, the leader over Bourdais. Power is 3rd, Pagenaud 4th, Johnny 5th, and Tagliani 6th.
Just listen to him work the throttle. Try and find grip wherever you can.
Race leader Robert Dornbos in the Muirman's Ozjet car. Here comes the McDonald's machine of Bourdais. Power in the Aussie Vineyards 5. Pagenaud next in line. Rahal trying to catch the CDW car for position. That would be for 7th. Wilson's got a little bit of Cosworth power to pass advantage, but with so much moisture still on the track, Jan, are they even going to use the button here?
Doesn't do you much good. If it's drier on the backside of the racetrack, you might want to try some power to pass. But when you heard Justin Wilson at 100 miles an hour go down the front straightaway spinning the rear wheels, you don't really want to be pressing a button for 50 more horsepower.
Battling for position. There's Pagenaud in the Aussie Vineyards 15, the green and yellow car, green and gold as they call it, in front of Johnny. Race leader is Dornbos. Should see 1 lap to go next time by. The Aussie Vineyards cars 3rd and 4th. That would put them in great shape in the Canada Triple Crown that's been announced by the Champ Car World Series. These 3 races that make up the Canadian swing back to back to back. Next week, the Steelback Grand Prix of Toronto, and then the Rexall Grand Prix of Edmonton on July the 22nd, 3 weeks from today. Alex Tagliani starting to put some heat on Neil Johnny there. Johnny in the blue car. It's the Red Bull machine. There's Wilson in the CDW 9 back in 7th.
Oh, and Tagliani's off.
Tag runs out of road in that Walmart Tide car, gets back on the throttle. That gave Wilson an opportunity to pick up a spot. Could be crucial in the championship.
If you run the outside line and it gets just a little bit wide, there's not much running room left.
Robert Dornbos on his way perhaps to his first Champ Car World Series win. So close a week ago at Cleveland. This is just his 6th career start in the series. And it looks as though Minardi Team USA about to score their first Champ Car victory as well. That team, which had been led by Keith Wiggins and still is heavily led by him, has won races previously, but not as Minardi. There's Bourdais in 2nd. Power coming your way in 3rd, and here's Pagenaud in 4th. And Justin Wilson in the CDW car. He and Rahal both got by Tagliani, so that shuffles Tag back to 8th. Dornbos is all alone. Can't say he's going to be home and dry today with all the wet weather we've had, but looks like he is about to head to the checkers. Final time around this 2.62 mile layout at the Circuit de Mont Tremblant under the CDW bridge. Dornbos in the Ozjet car number 14. Coming to the final 2 turns. It's been a great early Champ Car career for Robert Dornbos. Very personable young driver.
And Robert, I need you to pit this lap for Champagne.
Aha! The champagne will spray for Minardi Team USA. Robert Dornbos comes home the winner at the Circuit Mont Tremblant. Bourdais is second. Power, Pagenaud, and Johnny, your top 5 at Mont Tremblant.
That was great. Michael Cannon trying to build a little drama there. I need you to pit for Champagne. That was great.
And for Michael Cannon, a return to victory lane.
A very, very experienced engineer. Brought A.J. Allmendinger. He worked for the Forsyth team. A.J. Allmendinger joined that team, and they immediately went to the front and won a bunch of races. So now it begs the question, Bad Bobby D, is that what you're calling him?
Yeah.
Robert Dornbos, now that he's got this win, will it be a breakthrough?
Well, he gains a couple of points on Sebastian Bourdais in the championship standings. They were split by only 3 coming in to Bill Stevens.
There's jubilation down here in the Team Minardi pit. Paul Starter, the team owner. Tell us about your thoughts right now.
Well, I tell you what, this is all the reasons I came to Champ Car for, because this is absolutely fantastic. And what a drive by Robert. You know, we had a little mess in the pit stop. He dropped from first to third. We then had the rain come down. What a race and what a drive.
What about the performance of the crew overall, being able to strategize in the rain and the dry, tires, fuel strategies?
It's all about driver, engineer, and pit crew. And for 5 podiums out of 6 races, it ain't too bad.
Nice job.
Paul Stoddard over the moon that his young driver has brought home a victory. The Team Australia cars finished 3rd and 4th, so unofficially they take the early lead in the Canadian Triple Crown. But Dornbos celebrating his first career Champ Car win. He is ecstatic. We'll hear what he has to say when we come back at Mont Tremblant. Our ESPN coverage of the Champ Car World Series, Champ Car Mont Tremblant, is being brought to you by Bridgestone. For drivers who want to get the most out of their cars, it's Bridgestone or nothing. And by Mazda, always the soul of a sports car. For the 2nd time this Champ Car World Series season, a first-time winner to victory lane, Cameron Steele.
Well, he's done it, and he's off with the crew. It's a dog pile, so to speak. I'm going to have to step over the car myself. And Robert bringing the goods home. A happy birthday present to Keith Wiggins, one of the team owners.
I was singing him a song on the lap in. I was happy birthday to you, Creed. And great race. I mean, these are the ones you want to win in all conditions. We've been so quick during the weekend, and on the dry, I had some hot moments when it started to rain, but I was able to pull away, and also in the wet. And I mean, it's just a great team effort. I'm so happy. We worked very hard for this, and to get our first victory is very special.
There was a lot of chaos going on out there, but what about when Pagenaud went off? That surprised you?
It did, because he looked on the limit. You know, I was cruising behind him and just counting the laps. So yeah, I was very comfortable in my position, and I knew I was going to attack, and I waited for it. So
6 races, 5 podiums, and his first win here today. An impressive run for Robert Dornbos.
Yeah, it doesn't get much better than a 2nd at Cleveland behind Paul Tracy, and then a win here in the very wet conditions we had for much of the afternoon at the Circuit Mont Tremblant, the Champ Car Mont Tremblant. Bourdais comes home 2nd. Will Power and Simone Pagenaud, 2 top 5 finishes for Team Australia with all the problems they had. And Catherine Legg 11th on the lead lap. Alex Figge 13th today, struggled. Dan Clark was strong early. Paul Tracy, 2 car problems. Halen and Junqueira. Let's get more from Victory Lane, Bill Stevens.
Sebastian Bourdais, an impressive performance for you, but a 3-time champion never likes to finish 2nd. I know you're not.
It's got nothing to do with finishing 2nd. You know, I think if I was to finish 2nd fair and square, that's fine. But the way Robert drove today, to me, is completely not like him. I think he's much better than that. He knows exactly what he's done, and you know, that's fine. It's fine. It's just.
Specifically, what was it that Robert did?
I mean, it's all right. You know, it's just. He knows exactly what he's done. I don't need to comment about it. It's just a shame, you know. It's we're not supposed to drive like that in Champ Car. We're not allowed to block. So, period, you know. It's just he changed lanes about 3 times when I was picking a side. You know, that's the way it is.
You can hear the reaction of the crowd to Sebastian Bourdais' comments.
Great crowd on hand, especially today, all weekend long here at the Circuit Mont Tremblant. The fans didn't really like what Sebastian had to say. It'd be fair to say Robert Dornbos puts a hammerlock on the Roche France Rookie of the Year award with his win today. He's what now? Nearly 50 points ahead of Simon Pagenaud, Graham Rahal, Johnny, and Tristan Gomendy, the rest of the top 5. All right, Will Power comes home in third after failing to launch today, Michelle.
Yes, he did. Will Power, you had a very unfortunate start, but what a turnaround. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I mean, it was just conditions. It was just the most erratic race you've ever seen. But I just kept it in there. But you know, I made a mistake, spun, went back to the back again, and when it rained, it was good. The car was very nervous because we had a dry setup on, but so did everyone else. But it was great to come back, and congratulations to Robert.
All right, well, congratulations on your finish. Back to you guys in the booth.
So Will Power third today. He was third in the championship coming in, and he will stay there unofficially. Sebastian Bourdais with a bonus point for leading the most laps. He and Dornbos tied at the top of the standings.
Wow. What a championship this has turned out to be. And especially, we now know what Sebastian Bourdais thinks of Dornbos. Cameron?
I'm here with Simon Pagenaud. What a great run. A heartbreaker, of course. What happened?
You know, first of all, we started at the start. So we had to do a different strategy, which was really good. I have to really thank Team Australia. The guys have been doing such a good job, you know. Both Will and I started at the start. And after that, you know, we had the rain and the car felt really good. So I passed Sebastian, which was really, really good for me. And just did a little mistake because Dornbos was coming back. So had to brake later, and I couldn't do it at turn 14. So, but the car was really good, and we had a great finish for a rookie. So
all right, thank you so much. Great run today, Simon.
Simon Pagenaud comes home in fourth. Now the Canadian Triple Crown. This race, then Toronto and Edmonton. In the team competition standings, Team Australia, the early leader. They finished third and fourth today. Newman Haas Lanigan second, and our sports third with Justin Wilson, Alex Tagliani coming home in fifth and eighth positions here today. Next week, 1 o'clock Eastern, we're at Toronto. We hope you can join us there for the Steelback Grand Prix of Toronto next week here on ESPN. Brian Beekes and Cameron Steele, Bill Stevenson, Michelle Beisner. I'm Rick Benjamin. Hope you've enjoyed our coverage today from Mont Tremblant, Quebec, Canada. Once again, the winner of Champ Car, Mont Tremblant, is Robert Dornbos, his first career victory. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Coming up next, 1996 Classics Boxing, Galata versus Bo 2.